Okay guys, welcome to masterclass number 1. Now today and over the next series of lessons that we're going to do, I'm going to be teaching you how to do basic shapes. Okay?
Are we going to do a circle?
Circles are in lesson 3. Lesson 1 is all about squares.
I called it.
Okay? Now, before we go on to squares, I just want to touch on briefly your pencils. Those of you who don't know, pencils come in various grades of hardness and softness. This one is an H. This one, HB. So H rates the hardness, the B rates the blackness. Now, I've uploaded a couple of videos on ratings of pencils as well as how to sharpen a pencil. You'll find those on eLearn. The pencil sharpening relates to a pencil called a number 2. Now that's a US rating. For some reason the US rates their own pencils separately from the rest of the world. Number 2 is the equivalent of an HB. So when you see the video and you're watching it, he's relating it to an HB. Then we go into our artist's pencils, which are 2B. So they're nice and soft, and you can go all the way up to around 6B as a pencil. Then you can also graduate onto chalks, graphite, etc., like graphite sticks. Now, squares. What I like to do, guys, I'm using my HB pencil, is you need to be able to draw squares freehand, no rulers. So the first task that I'm going to be getting you to do is to draw squares of various sizes. You can overlay. You see I'm doing freehand. That's all I want you to do. When we're doing our design sketching, what we're looking for is quick and rapid fire sketching. And you're going to need to fill your entire page up. What I like to do too is, if you can turn your page, that'll give you an idea. You'll see this one's more of a rectangle than a square. Also, change the orientation of your page if you want to do diamonds. Okay, and you're going to find when you're doing perspectives, etc., and isometrics, that's an easy trick to do. Okay, so I want you to fill your whole page up.
Oh, I see.
Okay. So what we're doing is just practicing. This is all practice. It is not a waste of paper, Ben.
He's spitting wow. Tell him what's up, mister. Tell him what's up, mister. Science is important for your life.
Okay.
Science.
Now you're going to find too this skill, and we're starting with squares because with this you can create text boxes on your sketches. So when you're doing a design sketch, you can then annotate it by putting in a little sketch box. Okay. Sketch or text box. Now once you've got all these basically lightly drawn in, start small too. You're going to find that's an easier skill to manage if you start small and start practicing and then just develop that from there. So you're doing your small squares, progress to a larger square, and then even larger. Now, what I've told students in the past, and I've been teaching this to students for 5 years now through junior school as well, is that you need to be practicing this just shapes for like 5 minutes every night. It's a handy skill. So today is just all about squares. Naturally, the next lesson will probably be triangles, and then we move on to the difficult ones, circles. Now, with our squares, once you've got all the squares lightly lined out, pick some out and start marking them in a lot heavier. You'll note with quick sketching too, we're not aiming for perfectly straight lines. All you're trying to do is convey a particular message. And you'll recall too, whenever I give you guys one of those 10 or 15 minute challenges, you've got to be able to draw really, really quick. So constant practice is going to get your speed up. So once you get to an exam situation, you're going to be able to knock off an illustration in 5 minutes that previously you would have laboured over for 15. Okay? So, keys that we're looking for. Light outline. Like so. So the next bit is you're going to highlight particular elements with greater pressure. Experiment too with your pencil. Light pencil lines, heavier pencil lines. Change the angle as well. It's a picket fence.
Why are we doing picket fences?
Oh no, I just illustrated that. I just wanted to demonstrate just the use of different pressures and angles with your pencil really quickly. You can do a very quick illustration. So that only took like 5 seconds. Now, you can also do shade. So I want you also to end up shading and hatching all your squares. And this is where you get the practice and skills of doing heavier lines. And you'll note too, don't worry too much about going over the line. This is all about building up your skills and your muscle memory over how much pressure and what angle works best for any particular aspect. You'll note too, if we lay the pencil on its side, we can shade that. Or you can dot. Now with the shading with the pencil, you can also do really light. Now, with that too, experiment too, starting with hardness, firm pressure, and then lighten it up. And developing these skills, you're going to actually be able to illustrate so that you can actually show a surface that's exposed to light or shade, or there's a particular texture on it. We can also do shadows. So here, if this was a plan view of a city, You could have shadows here. This would be another building. And then we're just shading beyond. Bear this in mind too when you're doing your commercial project. If you did a plan view of your memorial, you may want to impart some shadows on it. Just like so. Okay, now handing over to you guys. I want you to fill your paper. I'm going to come around and check. I want you to try various techniques. Hatching, shading, different pressures on your pencil. So remember these: light outline, highlight particular elements with greater pressure. Hatching, shading. Also, I'll just rest the HB. He's been working hard for 10 minutes. I'm going to use the 2B, and you'll see what a difference it is. See, it's a blacker pencil. The soft pencils too are really good for doing this, just running your finger along. And one final technique too, if you want to do some burnishing like that, you can come along with a bit of paper. And it'll give you a sharp edge. Okay? All these techniques can be used in an exam. Okay, over to you guys.